everyone, and welcome to MASA TV episode 3 PwC special. My name is May and I'll be your host for today. We're so excited to have PwC as our guest for this episode, and for those who don't know who PwC is a multinational professional services firm, and it is also one of the big 4 accounting firms globally. We know that some of you in the audience may have applied for a grad or internship with PwC, or you might be thinking of applying for a role in PwC in the future. Regardless of your educational background or level, this episode is for you. As part of this episode, we are having a special gift for some of our live audience today, which is a virtual digital coffee meeting with a PwC representative from a business area of your choice. So stay tuned. So without further ado, let's get started with our first segment. In this segment, I have interviewed PwC campus recruiter Mitchell, and he will talk to us more about what is PwC and what they offer. He will also walk us through some recruitment processes and tips that he has prepared for students. So let's get started. So hi Mitch, so we're very excited to have you here with us today, and we know how busy the PwC recruitment team must be at this time because of the pandemic, so we really appreciate your effort and your time. So firstly, in order for our viewers to be more familiar with you, can I please get you to tell us a little bit more about yourself?
Yeah, no worries. Thanks for having me on, and thanks for you guys have done a really good job of, I guess, adapting to this new normal and setting up cool ways to still engage with us and engage with your students and show what's out there and what people are doing to cope with what is a challenging and unprecedented sort of circumstance for a lot of businesses. But so it's great to be here from my spare room home office that we've put together. My name's Mitch. I'm a campus recruiter at PwC. I predominantly look after FA, so financial advisory, which includes all of our tax teams, infrastructure and urban renewal, private clients, and all of our deals teams. So that's it. I look after them in Melbourne. That's my main role, but then I also work across the campus team with various different businesses, and I've been with PwC since December of last year. So my first campaign and an interesting campaign at that.
Thank you for that, Mitch. So most of our viewers know what PwC is, but there may still be some people watching this who are unfamiliar with PwC. So can you tell us more about PwC and also what makes PwC different? I know you have some slides to show our viewers. So
this is just a holding slide, obviously. And then before we do get started and talk about PwC and sort of what we do, I think it's really important to touch on how important sort of culture and working towards reconciliation and lots of other things that are really big here at PwC. So before we do start, I would like to acknowledge country and in Melbourne, in our Melbourne offices, we recognise the traditional lands of the Kulin Nation and acknowledge the people of the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung peoples and pay our respects to their elders, past, present and emerging. Additionally, I'm right now joining you from Wathaurong land, also in the Kulin Nation down here in Geelong. So I'd like to acknowledge their elders, past, present and emerging, as well as any of the peoples on the lands on which people are joining us today, as well as any Indigenous people that may be joining us today for the webcast or the episode. So I guess speaking about that, it probably speaks to we're on our Elevate wrap now, and reconciliation is a really strong part of the firm's culture and our commitment to sort of closing the gap on a number of sort of key areas, including graduate employability. So it flows through to the campus team really strongly, and it's something that myself and our other campus recruiters are really, really committed to here at PwC, and I'll talk a little bit more later about other efforts towards being more inclusive and diverse in our hiring and how we structure ourselves as a firm. So that's a little starter, and now we can talk about PwC as a firm and what we actually do and offer and who we are, in case anybody doesn't know, which is okay, because I probably never saw myself working somewhere like PwC originally, and certainly it wasn't until I found out about our culture and as well as some of the work that we do, that we're not just accountants, that I got really excited about coming to work here. So who are we? I think the key thing here to touch on is our purpose. So PwC, while we are a professional services firm, we are very much purpose and people driven as an organisation. So what does that actually mean? I guess our purpose is to build trust in society and solve important problems. And what that means to us is, I guess, tackling some of those really significant issues in Australia, which can be as diverse as, digitising healthcare, helping healthcare deal with the current pandemic, tackling homelessness, creating smarter cities. These are all things that our passionate people can come together with technology and their clients, I guess, to try and live that purpose and try and solve those important problems. Certainly, we have a lot of people, like I know, speaking to sort of senior leaders in some of our businesses, one of the really cool things that one of them always says is something he loves about coming to work every day is the idea that he often gets asked a question that's never been asked before. So he's trying to solve a problem or come to a solution for a challenge that no one's ever faced before. And I think now more than ever, that's fairly relevant to, I think, all of our lives. So I guess that's sort of the key piece here, is that we are really driven by our people and really driven by that purpose. And obviously there's the basics of, we have offices all over the country, Adelaide, Brisbane, GWS, Melbourne, Newcastle, Perth, Sydney, employ roughly 9,000 people nationally, and we've had some great support, I guess, and some great recognition of the kind of place we are to work. And then in terms of what we do, you'd expect to join, teams across assurance, consulting, deals, infrastructure and urban renewal, private clients, tax, a growing technology business, as well as we have a legal firm here at PwC. And then you're joining a network with sort of 150 plus territories and countries, and you're able to kind of leverage and draw off those other firms within the global network that is PwC.
Thank you, Mitch. So you've been with PwC for half a year now, roughly. So how would you describe the culture at PwC?
Yeah, so the culture is probably the reason I joined. So I come from a background in sport, both as an athlete for a long, long time, but also working in the diversity and inclusion aspect of sport. And so that being the case, I probably come from a very sort of social work type background and wouldn't normally fit the mold of a professional services firm, I guess, on paper. But it was through talking to people at the firm that I really got a really clear understanding of the culture and was pretty motivated to join, almost entirely based on the culture, which is, they're super supportive of our people and of trying to broaden that base and hire more people with disability like myself, hire more people from First Nations backgrounds, more people from different walks of life, ages, genders, and the like. And I think in supporting that, there's a culture within the walls of the building, but also within the walls of our home offices that really permeates, that allows that to sort of take place. For instance, I've done a lot of sort of social impact work as part of my time in sport, and a really cool part of joining the PwC is that ability to continue supporting those social impact causes that are really close to my heart. So there's some opportunities for me to work with disability in sport, and for me to work with sort of suicide education and prevention, which are really close to me, and I get some opportunities to work with that through my work with PwC, as well as kind of extra leave time, because it's an important issue and something that the firm believes in, so they're able to give me a little bit of time to work on those kind of projects around my PwC work. So I think overall the culture is great, really flexible in the way we work. I used to work 2 days a week from home before this. Now work 5 days a week from home. Um, but we're really well set up to be able to take advantage of those situations, and teams are really supportive of staff flexing their work around who they are as a person, because I think we see everyone get the best out of themselves when they're aligned with work that means something to them, and that they're passionate about, and also that they're able to balance their life against the important work we do with the firm.
That's good to hear. I love the big career change from the sports industry to the professional services industry. So based on some of the feedback that we receive from our students, it is also observed that they would love to know more about the different service lines at PwC. And of course, we'll touch on this more later with the help of other PwC representatives. But for now, can you provide us a brief outline of some of the key service lines that PwC offers?
Yeah, certainly. I completely empathise with your students in trying to figure out what we do and what some of the business areas are, because I know that I was very similar when I joined the firm or when I started looking at possible work with the firm. So I guess in terms of our business areas, and also specifically to graduates, vacationers, student careers, we've made a bit of a shift this year, which is that we're focusing on skills as a way of kind of putting those hard to define business areas and teams into more easily sort of digestible language, and easier for people to line up with what they actually know about themselves or their study. And so as a result, we feel like this helps people to understand the complexity of the work we do and how that might align with them and their skills. So our teams align to these 6 key areas, being consulting, project management, analytics, obviously a big skill in today's environment, accounting and finance, our traditional areas, law, and then technology as a growing part of our business. So in terms of where do you start, what are these? Like project management, for people that might be detail oriented, good at multitasking, end-to-end project type stuff. This includes all of our infrastructure and urban renewal teams. So that's from capital projects through to infrastructure lead advisory, infrastructure advisory. We actually have a small real estate advisory team as well, for anyone interested in property. So there's a great fit there for people with possibly an engineering and commerce background, but equally, I know that some of our real estate team come from predominantly a finance background, but have that really strong interest in property and in real estate, whether they've done a specific property degree or not. Similarly, some of those project management style teams will really need some of that core engineering stuff, but others won't. Our project management team also include our transformation assurance area, so sort of project-based end-to-end assurance, but with more of that consulting style nature to it, which should be really interesting possibly for some of your students. Technology, this one's pretty straightforward, but if you're passionate about creating a digital future and digitizing your core with us at PwC, then this is an area that's growing, ranging from teams in cyber and forensics all the way through to sort of our internal digitech teams that sort of handle all of our systems and build ways for us to all be more technology enabled in how we do our jobs. Consulting, if you're good at seeing the big picture and sort of working in lots of shades of grey, then consulting might be a great area for you. And this area obviously has a massive range from management consulting to economics and policy, health being a big one right now. Analytics is where the majority of our deals teams sit. So you'll hear from some of our reps a little bit later about what some of the deals teams do, but they in themselves range from business restructuring through to valuations, modelling. There's also a team within there that looks closely at sort of tangible assets, which is a really cool one if you're interested in engineering, real world sort of touching feeling stuff, as well as the financial sort of valuation and modelling of big assets. So that's a pretty cool place to be, especially if you like working with data. Lots of really cool things happening in that space, and lots of leveraging of those skills across the entire business. These days, we've all been through some training recently to try and work on those skills and more use data and leverage data to enable what we do across the firm, even in sort of a people partnership and culture sense, like where we sit. So law, fairly self-explanatory. We have a fully fledged law firm in PwC Legal. So they run on the legal timelines as well in terms of the traineeships and clerkships across Victoria. So a slightly different timeline to the rest of our graduate programs. And then accounting and finance is where you see our really core offerings in audit, for the most part, in audit and tax. You know, we've got areas there where you're born and bred sort of professional services, bread and butter type work gets done, and it's a great place to enter the firm. You know, the majority of leaders in any part of the business I talk to, I think, seem to have started in external audit or started in corporate tax. So, you know, one of our big sort of core service offerings where you get to do a variety of work on some incredible clients and learn a lot of really, really good transferable skills. If you're into that accounting and finance sort of core tax and assurance type area, that's sort of where all of those teams would sit.
Thank you, Mitch. So now that we have a better understanding of what PwC is, and also you talk about different areas, so now let's talk about the opportunities that PwC offers to students. So can you run us through the student opportunities and programs that PwC offers?
Certainly can. So we have obviously a variety of different programs and application sort of processes, given that we sort of take on quite a large number of students and graduates each year. So I guess the core offerings are these four: our graduate program, vacationer program, trainee program, and hire apprentice program. They're sort of the key ones that are relevant probably to your members here at MASA. So our graduate program is open to final year students and previously graduated students from all degree backgrounds, and that's a really key thing to sort of highlight, I guess, on the basis of that conversation around diversifying our workforce and having that open culture and that real learning type mindset to build trust and solve those important problems. You know, we're open to people from all degree backgrounds in all roles. Certainly, if you can demonstrate your motivation to join an area, that's a really massive part, and we'll talk about that more in the later parts of the episode. But you must have full-time working rights in Australia. Our vacationer program or internship type program tends to be 4 to 8 weeks. It varies in each area. In Melbourne, if that's where the majority, I imagine, MASA students would be looking to apply, it tends to be a 6-week program over summer for most teams. And so that's for your penultimate students in their second to last year. So you would apply, you know, in our sort of Feb-March period of this year, going into uni for the rest of this year. You do your summer internship or summer vacationer program next summer as you head into your last year of uni to hopefully start with us as a graduate, you know, the year after. And then we also have the trainee program, which works on this sort of system where if you're in a 3-year degree, you would apply in your first year, and that your program would commence in your second year, and then you do 2 years where you work and study with us before taking your final year back at university. So you combine part-time work and study. We give you a bit of study leave each week, as well as for exams and things like that. Really cool way, I guess, to mix work and university experiences. So for those early students that are trying to get a jump, that might be in their first year this year of a single, like a 3-year degree, or their second year of a double double degree, they can look at applying for us this year, with the hope to start as a trainee next year, and have those 2 years with us, a final year to finish off at uni, and then hopefully come back as a grad straight after that. A great way to build, a huge network and a huge variety of skills through your studies. And for that, you must have Australian citizenship or permanent residency. And then we also have now a higher apprentice program, which is designed around people that maybe haven't gone through a university degree. They've completed VCE, HSE, or the equivalent in their state or country, and don't possess a degree, but it's a different pathway into the firm. We talk about diversifying the people here and having that really inclusive culture, and this is an opportunity for people to come in through a different route, and study in a vocational sense, and then you may be eligible for a graduate role upon completion based on your performance and completing those vocational qualifications. So a really cool program that PwC has opened up to provide a more practical route to entry for those that are more inclined to that style of work.
Yeah, so there's so many opportunities available in a different service line that Mitch has mentioned before. So definitely check them out and find those that are relevant to you according to your degree and your education year. So Mitch, can you also run us through the recruitment process at PwC?
Yeah, certainly. So for those that haven't been through any sort of recruitment process with us or with other major employers, there's a number of steps which help us work through sort of thousands of applicants and provide the fairest and most robust process that we can to all applicants. And so our process looks a bit like this. Traditionally, we have an online application. We don't actually ask for your CV or your transcript or a cover letter at all. We have everyone complete an online application form where you get an opportunity to tell us all the things that would be on your CV or on your transcript, for instance. But you also get an opportunity to sort of just give us a clear understanding of your motivations to join PwC and any other information that you see relevant. So you can certainly include anything that you would have included on one of those others, but we think that's the fairest way to cleanly screen applicants so that everyone gets the same chance. We also use I should mention, a deadline-based recruitment approach, which means that we're open for a certain period of time and everybody has the same window to apply. And that means that there's no sort of bias or no advantage to putting your application in on day one or 5 minutes to midnight on the final day, because we think that everyone gets the same chance. Then, similar to the online application, everyone answers the same questions. So we think it's the fairest process that we can come up with. And then, as with many processes these days, if you're eligible for the program, so that's just that you've lined up the right years in terms of if you're eligible to be a vacationer or a graduate. The only reason you wouldn't receive the gamified assessment is if you've misaligned those. So if you've applied for a graduate program but you're still a couple of years away from graduating, for instance. And this is a point where we do have some self-serve options built in for our reasonable adjustment candidates. So anybody that requires adjustment to the process is a great opportunity in the online application to flag that. So there's a couple of self-serve options built in to our online assessment for dyslexia, colour blindness or ADHD. And you can tick those yourself, but certainly encourage anybody that feels like they require any adjustment to our process to sort of disclose that in the online application form. It certainly will not disadvantage you in any way, or what you'll actually also do is be contacted or connected with sort of the campus diversity and inclusion team to discuss sort of your needs and agree on process and supports and any changes we might need to make, just so that you can participate as fairly as possible, because we are really committed to that leading approach to disability inclusion and disability employment, here at PwC. If you're successful in the online assessment, you'll move to a digital interview, a one-way digital interview where you'll answer some questions. I think some people probably have had experience with this before. So it gives you an opportunity, I guess, to reflect on some of those real life examples some of your experiences, and then sort of apply them to a question that you might get, and showcase sort of how you respond. Yeah.
Yep, thank you for that, Mitch. So we also know how competitive it is. As you said before, there are thousands of applicants applying to PwC because of its reputation. So do you have any tips for students who are applying for the student programs, and what do you look for in candidates?
Yeah, certainly. So after the digital interview, if you were successful, we obviously tend to have an assessment day made up of a group assessment and a one-on-one interview. That might look a little bit different this year under the circumstances, but that being the case, let's talk through, I guess, a few tips, but also some specifics towards the end around how to maybe be successful or prepare for a slightly different assessment day experience in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic that we all sort of find ourselves in. So in terms of recruitment tips, how do you stand out? Something we like to talk a little bit about is personal brand, and this is just an opportunity, I guess, to workshop this and get you thinking about who you are and how you can sort of stand out, because I think the best way to do that is to sort of showcase who you are and what makes you different. So I guess from a personal brand perspective, the definition before we jump into sort of how to apply it is that idea, for anyone that doesn't know, is the idea of that individual and unique combination of skills, experiences, personality that sort of makes you you, and that others can see within you, but also that you can demonstrate yourself. So it's a really cool way of differentiating yourself and standing out, because nobody has the same range of personal or professional experiences in their life or academic life that you do, right? And so I love to speak about this, and I also love to kind of link this back where I can to that reasonable adjustment piece, and say that, look, as much as I know that there can be a lot of stress and concern about disclosing if you live with a disability, for instance, in one of these processes, because you might feel worried about being unfairly biased when it comes to sort of applications being screened. I think this is as good an opportunity as ever to use it as a positive, reframe that, and go, hold on a minute, this gives me an experience that is completely different to anybody else, and this is just as good a way to differentiate myself and stand out, and show how I've overcome these challenges, more so than nobody else has had that experience that you've had. So let's flip it on its head and use it as a positive. Similarly to anybody in any situation, you might be able to think of a way that your experience is different, and that's a really great way to stand out. So 3 key principles for branding, personal branding: authenticity, differentiation, and experience. So I think I probably bang on about this a lot, but being yourself, it's not about telling us what you think we want to hear. I can't stress that enough. When you deal with thousands of applicants, your radar for what's true and what's not and what's genuine gets pretty good. So, there's no point. You could be the most skilled and qualified applicant in the world, but if talking about it, I just don't really believe that you want to work in corporate tax, because you don't, or you're more interested in infrastructure, or you're more interested in consulting, for whatever reason. It's pretty obvious to see the people that are really motivated and understand the business area they want to work in. So I would suggest do the research and then be yourself. Apply for the area that suits your skills and suits your passion, because you'll do the best work and it'll come through really clearly. And differentiating is similar. It's about showing what you're passionate about and how that's different from anybody else. And if you can sort of leverage off those experiences you've had, and where your interests are, and then apply it to a specific question or situation, then you're going to put yourself in a great spot to demonstrate why you want to be there, and how you're different and how that differs from anybody else's experiences. And ultimately, it's about being memorable. It's about think about how you engage with people. Think about how you engage with the process in terms of trying to understand how you make others feel and how you interact with others, because that'll really help, I guess, you understand, leave that lasting impression, so that we remember who you are, and hopefully you're successful through our process.
Thank you, Mitch, for the amazing tips. I'm sure that this will benefit our students and our members significantly, knowing how to form their personal brand and going through the principles that you just went through. And Mitch, do you have anything to add?
I'll run through quickly. I won't have time probably to jump through every stage, but what I can do is throw out a few virtual assessment tips now for you guys to think about. So I'll just quickly jump to here and adapting to COVID-19. I think we've obviously seen it here where we're doing it, where we should normally probably be a face-to-face session and we'd be chatting and bouncing off each other and doing all those kinds of things. But we've all got to adapt to this new normal while we do our best to sort of save lives and limit the impact to our health system. So I guess some pretty straightforward ones, but some great little ideas to think about before possibly you do go through a virtual assessment type session. If you're in the middle of applying, or if you're looking at applying in the middle of the year, or even into next year, we don't really know how long this will last. So key one is testing your tech, making sure that your internet connection is reliable and everything's charged and you can see each other. May and I had a great little test run before this to make sure that everything worked and that my screen sharing worked and we got the slides up and all those kinds of things. So do try and do a little dummy run where you can by yourself. And if you've got a headset, I know I look like I'm trying to captain an airplane right now, but it definitely helps with your audio quality. And helps to stop any breathy noises and things like that, creating background noises, creating a shift in how the system works or picks up who's speaking. Think about setting up your space. Find a space that's well lit. I have some challenges with that. I have a window over there, and it seems to really change the lighting in here, no matter what I do. But make sure you're free from distractions. Turn off any notifications on your phone, things like that might jump out or create any background noise that could distract you or others that might be in the call or the assessment as well. And get ready for your close-up. Get ready to try and build connection. We talked about experience and being memorable. Try to really build that connection. It's really hard with the body language piece and with the tone piece to do as much as you can, in person. But certainly do what you can to position your camera in a place where you can see it. Try to look at it. I'm terrible. I keep looking at the slides and bouncing around. So don't be like me. Try to look down the barrel of the camera. I know it's challenging, but I think it helps you engage with the person on the other end. So that's a really key one. And then prepare, just like you would with any other interview. It's important to prepare, practice, and have any notes on hand. It's okay if you want to look down quickly at your notes. We're not perfect. We all need to refer to things, and we all get nervous. And nobody, I think, could prepare for this situation we're in right now. And certainly, people are probably more nervous and adapting to new things. But we're all there with you. People on the other end have probably never run a virtual assessment just as much as you've never done one. So do prepare and get some of those examples ready and use that STAR technique. So think about some really cool personal examples, whether that's through sport, through family life, through any volunteering committee type stuff you do, or events that you've done with societies, any part-time work, even if that's at a supermarket, even if that's at a pizza shop. There's still lots of relevant things you can talk about and examples where you might have had to adapt. And you guys are in an interesting spot right now because you've got great fodder for examples in how you've adapted to this current challenge. So if you can think about how you've worked through that and dealt with that challenge, I'm sure there's some great examples that you can work off and work that situation technique. Situation, task, actions, and results framework into that, and think about those results and the impacts. The flow on of not just we did this assignment and got this mark, but how did or we did this task and we sold more pizzas or whatever it is. How does that flow on? How does that impact the local community, the local society? What have you guys done to help solve a problem, for instance, and build some trust? So. And don't worry if things go wrong. Tech goes wrong. It happens. These are we're all learning at the moment. So take a deep breath, relax. Similarly, if you go off track on an answer and you find yourself on a tangent, just sort of stop, take a breath. It's okay if you say, listen, sorry about that, coming back, and get yourself back on track rather than try and take a really big loop back, because sometimes you might not make it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for virtual assessments.
Is there anything else that you want to go through, or?
Not really. I'll just put the sort of programs up on the screen. Jump on our student careers website if you got any questions, or any of our sort of social channels there. There's lots of information flowing through, and doing our best to keep everyone updated as sort of things change and as we work through the impacts of COVID-19. So yeah, I hope everyone's doing well and staying motivated and looking after each other. It's really important to look after each other and look after yourself and stay connected at a time like this.
Thank you so much, Mitch, once again for sharing great insights about PwC, and we're so grateful for the time and effort that you took to speak to us. And I believe our viewers have definitely benefited from your sharing and your amazing slides. So thank you.
That's all right, no problem. And I hope that everybody finds this useful, and I'm sure you'll hear a lot more about some of the different areas from our business reps and what their day-to-day lives look like, because they're much better placed to talk about their lives than I am. So hopefully you get to learn from them directly, and please do fill out the form, because it'd be great if you get that opportunity to have that virtual coffee with someone, potentially one of our reps that do their that you'll hear from later on, because I think you'll see great opportunity to learn from them and gain some insight into their business areas.
Now, let's dive into some of the key service lines that PwC offers with the help of PwC representatives from business areas such as deals, tax, and audit. They will talk to you more about their service lines, what they do on a day-to-day basis, and also provide any general advice that they have. So let's get right into it.
Hi everyone, my name is Christine and I'm coming to you from my little home office. Bit of a different view to the PwC office, but still getting the job done nonetheless. I'm in the assurance service line at PwC, so I'll start off with talking a little bit about what this looks like and my role. So the word you might first associate with assurance is audit, and this is the main service that I'm involved with providing to our clients. But having been in the assurance team for a year and a half now, I've learned that assurance is a lot more than just audit. So we go into clients and our goal is to get a really strong understanding of their business and how it operates, and essentially assure them that what they're doing is the right thing. So we identify areas that they're doing really well in, identify areas that need improving, and where there are issues, we're there to help make improvements to ensure that our clients are operating as well as they can. So our work can look like a whole range of different things. For example, ensuring that a bank's control environment is operating effectively to protect its customers, to providing confidence within the financial report of an ASX 100 company. My role is more within the external audit space. So what this looks like is I'll go into a client and ultimately provide assurance over their financial report. To audit a business, you really need to understand how they operate as a whole, which is what I really like about this job. Going into a client, I'm not just there to tick and bash numbers. I'm there to understand how transactions flow from one part of a business to another and really get a whole big picture of their operations. I found that I get really vast exposure to all kinds of people and companies, and I think that starting out in audit has been a really good grounding for developing my business acumen and global acumen. What I learn from one client, I'm able to take on to another client, and I feel like I'm always learning. So what I do on a day-to-day basis, as I said, go into clients, spend quite a bit of time out on client site, working with their finance team to ensure that what's going on in the financials accurately represents what's happened in the business. We look a lot at controls and how they operate, and as I said, improving their business to operate effectively. What I enjoy most about this is that I feel like I've got such wide exposure to so many different things. I've worked on a really wide range of clients in my first year and a half at PwC, and this exposure you wouldn't get anywhere else. The people that I've worked with have been really great, and I learned so much from the people around me as well as from my clients. Yeah, so a bit more about me. I am a trainee in the assurance division. So this means I'm still at uni. I'm in my 4th year of a Bachelor of Commerce and a Bachelor of Finance at Monash. I've been in this role for a year and a half, as I said. So I applied when I was in my 2nd year of uni. So I encourage all the 1st and 2nd years to have a look and see if the trainee program is something they'd be interested in, because I found that working alongside studying has been really beneficial, not only for my career, but also for my uni experience. My advice for students going into their career is to be really yourself during the recruitment process. You don't want to end up at a company or working for somewhere where you can't bring your whole self to work. What I really like about PwC is that I feel like when I'm at work, I'm working to the best of my ability because I'm able to be completely myself. And I think during the recruitment process, it's really important that you do this and you don't try and change yourself to fit a business that you want to work for, but just be yourself, because the place you end up working, you want to be able to completely be yourself in there. So yeah, that's my 2 cents.
Hey guys, my name's Sudip. I work in the global mobility team at PwC. So I started there as a graduate in 2017 and now been almost 3.5 years. I'm a senior consultant in the same team, the global mobility team. Prior to that, I was studying a double degree in accounting and finance at Monash. So you'll see my degrees behind me on the wall there. So I guess a bit about global mobility. So we sit under the tax and legal sort of division. So primarily focusing on tax. So what essentially is any organizations that have sort of global presence and are spread across the world. So those multinational companies, we help them manage their risks and make sure that they're compliant from an employer perspective. And then from an employee perspective, we touch base with all the individuals who are moving at that organization to different countries. So let's say someone was going to the US to work for 2 years, we touch base with them and make sure that they're aware of their tax consequences of going on the assignment. So yeah, it's sort of a very relevant space. Obviously, a lot of people go to different countries to work, so it's really interesting. So my day-to-day life at PwC is quite fun. So obviously, working for such a big company like PwC, you have so many touch points. So I talk to so many individuals each day, especially in the mobility space. As I said, we get to know the individuals at quite a personal level, because for those who have studied tax, it's obviously quite situational based, and each individual has their own sort of tax circumstances, so we get to know them quite personally. So throughout a day I would talk to numerous people about their tax situation, but then we'll also talk to the key sort of stakeholders, which we call our clients, just so that we have that relationship with them as well. The culture in the team's great. Like, we're all very easygoing and, try to make tax as fun as we can. A lot of people obviously roll their eyes when they hear tax, but it's certainly very interesting. I think real life tax is very different to what I learned at uni, and it's been something I've really enjoyed. So yeah, in terms of the skills required in the role that I do, I think interpersonal skills are huge. So obviously tax is something people take very seriously. So, people wouldn't want to disclose all their information to you unless you have a strong relationship with them. So a lot of the initial work is building that relationship and having that trusted relationship between us PwC consultants and the individuals. And then obviously, because it's tax, there's a lot of technicalities about it. So definitely need to be quite technical and have an eagerness to learn, because tax legislation is always sort of changing. So it's our role to sort of keep up to date with all the changes and make sure that we're, making our clients stay in the loop and informed of the recent changes. So I guess why I applied for global mobility is because I am a big people's person. So I enjoy building relationships and working with various parties and stakeholders. So I think global mobility is a perfect mix of sort of relationship building and communication, as well as it is the technical nitty-gritty side of things. So I think it aligned well with my interests, and 3.5 years later I can definitely see that I've made the right decision. In terms of the advice I have for students in this strange environment that we're living in, I think for me, I worked part-time during uni just at a call centre, which taught me so many invaluable skills that I wouldn't have necessarily learnt at uni. So I think just getting involved in as many things as you can, co-curricular activities or a part-time job. I think the way sort of my degree was structured was that I was only going to uni 2 or 3 days a week. So I had 4 days in my week to sort of do things that would help me down the track. And I certainly am glad I did those things, because it's taught me a lot that I can now put into practice at PwC. So I think in this environment where we're all sort of trapped at home, I would definitely say do as many courses or sort of upskill yourself as much as you can and figure out what it is that you want to do. So, for example, if you want to have a focus on technology, then there's a lot of sort of courses out there that can enhance your knowledge of technology, and there's programs that you can master and then come and implement to PwC. I think the good thing about PwC is that everyone's open to ideas. So if you come to PwC with your own sort of ideas, you can start rolling them out from day one. So yeah, just keep learning. I think with all the time that uni students will have, I know it's easy to sort of just sit back and relax, which is completely fine. But I think spend that extra time with co-curricular activities. So get involved in as much as you can, and you'll see that the hard yards that you put in early will reap rewards when you come to working full time. So I wish you all the best for your future and hope to see you at PwC.
Hi, my name is Nina. I started at PwC last year as a graduate in deals. I'm from Monash University. I have a master's in banking and finance, and I also have an undergraduate degree in psychology from UNSW. In deals, I'm in the transaction services team. We do a lot of buy and sell side due diligence on transactions, and we also assist our clients through the sale process. My typical day at work can vary greatly, but most of the time it's assisting my managers with financial analysis, liaising with clients, research on particular industries, and so much more. My business unit is best for people who have a knowledge or interest in finance or accounting, but we do accept people from all different backgrounds. The work culture is really, really good. People at PwC are so nice and so willing to help and guide you through work, which was really, really great for me in my first year as a graduate when I didn't know a lot and I didn't know what I was doing. The reason why I chose my business area is because it aligned most with what I studied at university. I found that I could apply my knowledge to my work, but at the same time, I have been challenged and I have learnt a lot through just work. I also had the opportunity to rotate into the mergers and acquisitions team, and there I got to experience a whole new area of deals. My advice to students applying for the VAC or graduate programs is to honestly be yourself. People at PwC come from all different backgrounds, and it's really a place where people feel comfortable to be themselves. So it's really important to let your personality shine through your assessments. I know that these times can be difficult for students in terms of studies, but however, with no distractions around, it is a great opportunity to focus on uni or your professional skills. For me personally, I've been using this time to advance my skills in data and analytics, which I know will greatly enhance my role in transaction services. All the best for your applications and for your studies, and hopefully I'll see you soon.
My name is Paula. I'm a consultant in the employment services team at PwC, which essentially includes employment taxes, payroll consulting, and equity share schemes. I'm specifically in the employment taxes team, and so we deal with any tax that relates to employment, specifically super, pay-as-you-go withholding, workers' comp, payroll tax, and FBT. I guess a little bit about myself. My background in terms of kind of degree and qualifications is I went to Monash and did a commerce and law degree. Upon kind of completing that, I started at PwC as a grad. Initially, I guess my PwC journey started by doing a vacationership in the employment taxes space, then moved on to casual, and then eventually starting as a full-time grad, which means that I've essentially been with the business for about 2 and a bit years now. A day-to-day kind of day at PwC, well, currently in light of the circumstances, is a little bit different. I guess involves dealing with a number of various things. It can mean admin, it can be client meetings, calls, preparation of advice, calculations, compliance, things like that. So I think the one thing that I really want to highlight is that there's a lot of opportunity to do a variety of different things at PwC, and that's something that's kept me really challenged and motivated during my time with the firm. At the same time, I guess specifically to more of the work that's done, given my law background, I really enjoy drafting pieces of advice. Given tax is quite legislation heavy, it really allows me to kind of flex those skills in terms of putting a specific point or a view across, and that's something that I've really enjoyed and continue to kind of develop through my time at PwC. I guess I didn't necessarily choose my business area. I was kind of thrown into it given that I selected that I wanted to do tax, or I guess if I was successful in getting a vacationership at PwC. I guess upon that I identified that, you know, an area like this got to, basically I got to utilise both areas of my degree. It was challenging. I got to work with some really amazing people in my team. And I continue to feel challenged. I continue to kind of develop in my capabilities, and I think that's something that you want kind of going forward in your career. Advice, I guess it's quite hard in light of the circumstances, but I would say if you do have spare time, particularly at this point, I would say, look through and really kind of assess what you want to do. There is so much opportunity out there. If there's things that you want to upskill on, really take the time and the opportunity to do that. I think PwC aren't just looking for someone who's done, a commerce and law degree. I think they're looking for people who think outside the square, who know what their passions are, know how they're driven, and particularly if you are looking to, I guess, get an opportunity or look to find an opportunity at PwC where you can strengthen that and really talk about that and discuss how that can benefit and add value to PwC and its clients, I think you'll be very much on the right track. So good luck with all your future studies, and hopefully that's provided you with some insight into PwC and what we do.
A big thank you to the PwC representatives who took their time out to join us in this episode. For those who watched this episode, we hope that you guys will now have a better understanding of PwC. And as mentioned before, there will be a special gift for some of our live viewers today, and that is a virtual coffee meeting with a PwC representative of your preferred business area. In order to win this, you will simply need to answer a question posted by MASA under the comment section, and also fill in the feedback form which will be posted by MASA under the comment section as well. In the form, you'll be able to indicate your business area of interest, and we may use this information to find a suitable PwC representative for you. This is an amazing opportunity for you to learn more about PwC and to ask any burning questions that you may have. A special thanks to PwC again for sponsoring us and participating in this video. And don't forget to like our Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. And we hope to see you again in our next episode in collaboration with Impetus Consulting Group on Pathways to Consulting. Thank you for watching and see you next time.